Hello everybody, Nikki Spears here, author of the book, The Beauty Underneath the Struggle, Creating Your Bust Story. I hope you've enjoyed Chapter 1, Be Responsible. That chapter was intentionally titled Be Responsible because until we're holding the pencil, we will not be able to write our best bust stories. I learned the power of being responsible about 9 years ago, when my husband came to me with the book, The Success Principles. After reading the first page of that book, when the author talks about taking 100% responsibility for everything that you experience in your life, I realized that I was a blamer and a complainer. And as a blamer and a complainer, you're not able to turn to the next page of your story so that you can create your masterpiece. So I hope that everybody out there, you're ready to take your pencils so that we can write your best bust stories. Now, in Chapter 2, Be Aware, we're assessing our thoughts, our beliefs, which I call our family belief camp. The moment we're born, our families, our caregivers, our adults, they start to teach us all those things that they've learned in their lives. They start to teach us labels, we start to judge, and so that's where our beliefs come from. And some of those beliefs we will need to assess to see if they're serving us well or not. And in Chapter 2, I challenge you to follow the why. Just as you would on a social media page, I ask you to scroll all the way down to think about where these beliefs may come from. So we're going to practice that right now today. In Chapter 2, we talk about family belief camp. In our family belief camp, we learn how to label and respond to people, things, and situations in our lives. This training goes on for several years, and some of us are still enrolled in our family belief camp today and have never graduated. In this chapter, I challenge you to assess some of your core beliefs and to examine those core beliefs to determine if they're serving you well or not, if they're going to help you create your best bust stories. Some of us have these negative beliefs about ourselves, others, or the world that will prevent us from writing our best stories. So in this chapter, I ask you to follow the why. And following the why, that exercise is similar to scrolling on a social media page. So I ask you to scroll all the way back until you get to where that belief came from. So we're going to practice that a little bit right now. I want you to think about a core belief. One of those beliefs that's just automatic, that you've had, maybe you've had it since you were a child, or maybe you picked it up along the way as a teenager. Think about one of your core beliefs and write it down now. Now look at that core belief and continue to ask yourself, why? Why do you believe that? Continue to ask yourself why until you come to a place and you assess where that belief came from. And you can further assess if that belief is benefiting you well right now. And so the belief that I had was the world is a dangerous place. I found that belief was not benefiting me well because it didn't allow me to take the risk that I needed to take to create my best life, to create my best story. So after looking at that belief and understanding and assessing that belief, I was able to transform that, and I started to take more risk. I started to do more things that I was uncomfortable with, and I don't believe that I would be standing here today if I hadn't done that for myself. So I want to challenge you to examine those beliefs, and if they're not serving you well, let's transform them and take some actions so that you can create a new story. In Chapter 2, I also introduce you to 5 writing styles. And I hope you've had a chance to read through those. What I want you to know is that these styles are not permanent. As human beings, we will move in and out of all of these emotions or these behaviors. And so it's important for you to assess where you are most of the time. And I can tell you, a few years ago, I was writing a lot of horror stories because I saw myself as a victim. But where you really want to be is at the rebirth awakening stage. That's when we're ready to take responsibility for our lives. We feel empowered to write our stories. No longer are we blaming and complaining, but we're ready to take the pencil and create our masterpiece. Comedy, when you're at level 3, we're not attached to the outcomes. And then in that love story, we're not so judgmental of ourselves or of others. So I want you to use this chart throughout our time together to determine where are you right now and where would you like to be. So I have some discussion questions coming for you about Chapter 2, Be Aware. I would love for you guys to respond to those, and I can't wait to read them. I'll see you guys back here soon.